Hey, Browns fans, Spencer German, Anthony Moeglin with you as we get you ready for Browns Cowboys week one of the regular season in a matchup that is everything, every bit the spectacle. Cowboys in town, we know what that name and that brand brings. But on top of that, you got Tom Brady on the call, his broadcasting debut. A lot of big things happening downtown here at, I almost said Cleveland Browns Stadium. It is now Huntington Bank Field, where the Cleveland Browns call home. Excited to bring you coverage all throughout the game, obviously. And I don't usually get a chance to do these pregame hits because I usually am hosting a pregame show elsewhere. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. And there's obviously a lot of different things to talk about and tackle as we get you ready for the start of the Browns season here in a little over 3 hours from now. Anthony, just, I guess, what is the biggest thing that you're kind of looking forward to in this game as the season gets going and the Browns kind of, put an end to the offseason and we start talking about what the 2024 campaign is going to bring?
Yeah, first of all, it's hard to believe that it's already September 8th, right? Like, we're already here. We made it.
I feel like it actually took a while to get here, so I'm glad it's here.
Like, I was thinking back on it this morning, and I was like, "Holy cow!" Like, it's somewhere between we're finally here and holy cow, it took forever. But it's super exciting, and obviously it's a perfect day down at the stadium. And really, what the easy answer to that question is, what's this offense going to be, right?
Yeah.
You haven't seen them all off season. They didn't, the full group didn't play in the preseason, so you don't really know what this group's going to even look like, and they're going to come in injured. Obviously with the tackle position, we still don't know who's going to play there. It's going to be James Hudson, I think. And Jack Conklin's going to be kind of the backup if need be, if he does even suit up today. So even at that, right, we're going to be down our left tackle, and obviously that's been the biggest thing this offseason, right? It's been that tackle position. So just seeing what this offense is, there's obviously a bunch of new pieces. Excited to see what Jerry Jeudy brings to the table. Really excited to see what Ken Dorsey and this offense looks like. Even in the preseason, we got maybe a taste of it, but maybe not so much, where he didn't show everything that they're going to be. So super excited to see how that kind of fleshes itself out. And then what's Deshaun? It's year 3. I guess in my opinion, the leash is kind of out. It's kind of put up or shut up time, and he finally gets the opportunity to get on the field and end all of the talking. If he comes out today, throws for 250 and 3 scores, and the Browns win going away, then we start having real conversations about where this team can go. Conversely, if it looks more of the same, we're still going to be sitting here at the end of the game scratching our heads saying, what is going on? Where can this team go in this season? So I'm really excited to see how that all starts to shake itself out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Browns fans obviously agree with you. I certainly feel similarly that Deshaun, it's now or never in a sense for him. Maybe not from the organization standpoint. They could always see the end of this contract through. But I think from the fan standpoint and patience in terms of him delivering on the quarterback he was supposed to be when they traded 3 first-round picks for him, they want to see him perform at a high level. And that obviously starts today. Now, I'm kind of going into this giving him a little bit of grace. I don't want to make excuses. I'm not doing the rush thing anymore. I'm not doing that. But I just think generally throughout his career, he gets off to slower starts to the season. And I'm kind of anticipating that today, which will be reflected when we give our predictions here at the end of this little hit. But I just think new offense, haven't had a ton of reps together in game-like settings, as we know. Deshaun coming off the injury, his first real game-type situation since the middle of November last year. I just think it kind of adds up to, okay, it's going to be a little bit of a slog here today. That doesn't mean they're not going to win by any means. But I just think it's not going to necessarily be the hit the ground running that fans are maybe hoping for, but we'll see. And I also do think what's interesting, you bring up the tackle situation. I think that directly corresponds potentially with how this group could look today, because if you got James Hudson at left tackle, and again, we know the situation, Jack Conklin could play. He's questionable today. He's going to do sort of the pregame test. He's a game time decision in that way. See how he feels, and they might put him out there. I kind of am leaning to the idea that it's probably going to be James Hudson that starts, though. And if that becomes an issue where Micah Parsons is just causing him fits, that could disrupt the entire game, and Deshaun really won't have a chance to get comfortable. So a lot is riding on what that tackle position looks like here today, and how they're able to kind of contain 2 really good defensive tackles that the Cowboys have, both in Parsons and obviously in Lawrence as well.
And I would add to that too, the positive, the silver lining to everything you just said, and it's totally correct. But the weakness of this Cowboys team is their secondary.
Yeah.
They are going to be Deron Bland out for the year, got hurt in camp, and he set the NFL record last year for pick sixes in the season. Now there is a little bit of luck in that, but he's still a lockdown guy. He's really, really good. And Trayvon Diggs coming back from a season-long injury himself. So I do think that if the Cleveland can block it up front, maybe it's not a lot of one-on-one situations. And, truthfully, the end of last year, Spencer, I don't know if it was maybe a blessing in disguise, but you learned how to have to adjust to those types of things, right? When we went through the whole injury situation we did, and the Browns had to get creative in doing so. So I think that if they do have to put more guys into protection, more running backs, more tight ends, whatever the case is, they do have advantages on the perimeter, which does kind of get me excited for what this could be. Now, what I will say, all of the drama for the Browns is on the offensive side. What's it going to look like? What's it going to be? What I'm really excited about is to see what this defense does coming out in front of this home crowd that, you said it, you're down there. That city's electric right now. Everyone's so excited for this game, and this defense has thrived in front of this group the past, last year, obviously. And if they come out today and they can just, do what they can to stop the potent passing offense that the Cowboys are going to bring to the table, it's going to be a ton of fun, because I think you kind of slow those guys down. Cleveland is certainly in the driver's seat this afternoon.
Yeah, and you mentioned the secondary. I do think that's an area they can exploit on offense, especially with a rookie being opposite of Trayvon Diggs. Something potentially there for them to look at. I also think on the flip side of that, you bring up the defense. Myles Garrett is going against a rookie at left tackle largely today in Guyton, and that gives them a chance to potentially exploit something there. You hear Myles Garrett against a rookie and you lick your chops a little bit because you understand what that means. Guy who's not really been around much and has to go against that guy. He has some experience blocking Micah Parsons every day at practice, but there's no way, the last 5 or so months of 4 to 5 months of blocking Micah Parsons has you ready for what you're about to endure from Myles Garrett for obviously 60 minutes. So, yeah, I think those are two areas for fans to look at and sort of pay attention to in terms of places they could look. I also think the run game is going to be important today for the Browns because the Cowboys last year had a bad run defense. I don't know what iteration it's going to look like. Will it be all Jerome Ford? Will it be a mix of Jerome Ford and Deshaun Watson using his legs, which was a key for them winning last year in Week 1 against the Bengals? But, yeah, I think that matters as well. Are you anticipating, Anthony, because we heard so much about this defense and how it's going to be different this year and some new wrinkles that they're adding in to disguise things a little bit better, do you anticipate this defense getting off to a similarly hot start as last year, or do you think maybe they take a little bit of a step back? And because my biggest thing with this group, Anthony, is I'm okay if they're not number one in the NFL this year, but if they're hitting on the big key stat things like red zone defense, third down defense, those are the things that matter to me. They could be number one in other categories, and I would still think they're a very good defense. So I'm just curious where your head's kind of at with this group and how you think they're going to respond in year 2 of Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, I think exactly to your point, and I am in total agreement with you. Last year, they were the best defense in the league, right? They had the best stats. They got so many advantageous I guess matchups, if you will. A couple quarterbacks came in here that were rookies, couple guys.
Yeah, especially at home. Yeah.
And they really took advantage of it, right? And you hold the Cardinals last year to like 60 yards. Yeah, your stats are gonna be skewed. I think the stats are gonna have a regression to the mean. I do think that, like you said, if they can focus on being good in the key areas, they were not good in the red zone. They were not great on third down. Like those, they actually were good on third down last year, if I remember correctly. But the red zone is the key one that matters, and especially on the road. And that's the other part of this. Is like they got to be able to travel better than they did last year, and I think that's the big thing that I'm watching, especially when you play the gauntlet of quarterbacks that they play. They're going to have that defense show up a lot, very often, and especially if the offense gets off to a slow start, like I'm anticipating. And a day like today, Spencer, Dallas is going to move the football, and when you get in the red zone, it's taking 7 points and turning it into 3 for the defense. And if you do that consistently, you're going to win the football game. So it's going to be those big categories, just like you hit on that I think the defense has to improve upon, because it's not going to be what they saw last year. And they got lucky. You go through a stretch that they did last year, and you're just able to put up some gaudy stats. It's not going to be the case, I don't think, but they're definitely going to be the driving force behind this team early on in the season as the offense kind of continues to mesh and fill itself out.
What do you think from a fan perspective, Anthony, the standard should be for fans this year? Is it simply just get back to the playoffs, or should they be reaching higher?
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, it's got to be reaching higher. Like the reason I say that is because you're getting towards the end of the prime of some of the core group of guys on this team. Like Myles Garrett isn't going to be Superman for that much longer, and you can't go and waste that guy's entire career. And it's other guys. It's Nick Chubb, right? Nick Chubb certainly on the back nine of his career, just with the way running backs longevity is, and the injury he had last year. And guys like Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's not going to be here for forever. This may be his last season. So it's like, hey, there's some core guys. Joel Bitonio, even. You get to the offensive line. Wyatt Teller. These guys have been elite for so long, and we haven't been able to cash out on it consistently. So from in my perspective, it's not, playoffs aren't enough this year. I want to see, get back to that divisional round. We saw it on Thursday night when the Chiefs unveiled their thing, and they had Chad Henne on the field, and they called him the hero of the divisional round. Well, that was against us. Like, we were right there 4 years ago when the Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl. We had a chance to go beat those guys. That's the potential that this group has. And it's like, hey, for me, playoffs are good. It'll be fun. I'll be excited, but I want to see a couple wins. Give me through the divisional. Maybe give me to a championship game. AFC title game down by the lake would be pretty sweet. And I think that's where the mindset has to be.
For me, that is the standard. I think, and you mentioned the veteran guys. It's a really good point on in terms of like not wasting these guys' careers. I also just think too, though, like, you got Deshaun Watson and you added him to this roster that we believe is uberly talented already for the purpose of getting to that plateau. Like, why should fans have to settle for this idea of just like, well, let's just get to the playoffs again? Like, you've now tasted that twice in 4 years. That's to quote Donovan Mitchell, who apparently is out here looking for tailgates to go to before the game today with the Cavs. He flat out said, like, the playoffs at this point are just that's expected. We expect to get in the playoffs every year. Now we have to set a new standard of, like, we're not just getting in the playoffs, we're going farther. And I think the same thing applies to this Browns team. They are too damn good from a roster standpoint with a quarterback that's supposed to be the missing piece that gets you over the top to not have expectations and standards of, we believe we should be an AFC championship contending team. So for me, it's at least that going into the season. And I think fans who say just playoffs are selling themselves short. Let's get out of here with this, Anthony. Your prediction for week 1. I know we had it in the piece that we had up on Cleveland Browns on SI, but I want to know where your head's at for this game today. What do you think things are going to look like and who comes out on top?
I was potentially a little overzealous, got excited when I was writing the piece. You kind of texted me like, hey, dude, you good? Because I think I predicted Browns 38, Cowboys 24. I was seeing it through, like, as I always do, a little bit glass half full, more than half full through my brown and orange glasses. But I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but I'm going to stick by it. I put it down on paper. It's what I'm sticking by. Browns are going to get out to a hot start. They're going to be trouble for Dak. We're going to get out to a nice little lead. The Cowboys will come trying to creep back. A late touchdown in the fourth quarter pushes it to a 14-point lead. Points galore, fireworks, the whole thing. It's going to be – that's my prediction for the day. Browns 38, Cowboys 24.
I think fans would be very, very happy if that's what plays out. 38 points from the offense. If they're lighting it up and down the field, that would be huge. I'm a little more conservative with mine. I'm going 24-21 Browns. I think they're the better team. They should come out on top today. Even if James Hudson starts and there's some issues there at left tackle, that maybe cause the offense some fits. I'm anticipating the offense getting off to a slow start. They did that last year, still scored 24 points. So I'm kind of putting the bar back there again this year. And I just feel like it might take some time to get going. I think Deshaun's as a runner is going to be important today. Jerome Ford's going to be important today. And I think they'll pull away and maybe get a field goal late in the game to sort of seal the deal and or score a touchdown late to sort of seal the deal, one of the two. And they pull it out 24-21. That's my prediction. You can share yours with us as well in the comments section of the Cleveland Browns for SI YouTube channel. We'll be back right here on this space post-game with reaction to whatever happens, whether Anthony's right, whether I'm right, whether we're both wrong and the Browns lose. We'll be able to react to it with you and break down everything that we saw from Deshaun, the offense, the defense, everything, all angles, the new kickoff, whatever it might be. We're excited to bring you lots of coverage, obviously, throughout the year, but also here in week 1 of the season. Be sure to follow along during the game for all the breaking news at Cleveland Browns on SI. And, of course, at the Cleveland Browns on SI YouTube channel, as I mentioned. We'll be back with more coverage of your Cleveland Browns.